Every step we're closer to impeachment. Every step proves the fact that we need to move forward. This is not about a party or it's not about politics. It's about principle, and it's really about doing the right thing.
I think the Democrats know that the election's going to be really hard for them to win in 2020, so they need to distract and keep going with this impeachment, just so we don't talk about how strong the economy is, how good things are going. It's just another way to deflect from what's really going on.
The heated debate over impeachment spilling onto the doorstep of the Fresno office for Congressman Devin Nunes. Protesters making their voices heard for and against impeaching President Trump. That happened earlier this week, and some wondering if impeaching President Trump will now open the door for any other presidential candidate. Well, it sets the stage for a very compelling 2020 election, and that will include this man. The newest presidential candidate, not for the Democratic Party, but for the Republican Party, Matt Mattern, is here. How are you, sir?
Great to meet you.
Now, on Sunday morning, Matterns, right? But you have an interesting philosophy on your campaign rollout. Everything matters.
Right.
So you didn't copy us, right?
We did not copy you.
Just checking.
But, it does. I saw your logo up there
Yes.
and thought, it looks a lot like my website.
Yes. You're a California attorney, you're an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and now you want to dive into this nasty political climate. Why?
Well, I've always been interested in politics, but I've been on the sidelines, and I've just seen where President Trump has been so divisive, and I think he's stifled debate in the Republican Party, and I think we need to hear other voices within the Republican Party, and I felt like, hey, if it's not me, who's going to jump in?
But the voices that are in the Republican Party, even the big ones, are still backing President Trump. There seems to be no leaks at this point in time. What makes you think you can be relevant in the Republican Party?
Well, I've been in New Hampshire for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I've talked to a lot of voters, and I hear a lot of voters who are not happy with what President Trump is doing, doubling the deficit, doing nothing on health care for the last 3 years. So there are people who are grumbling.
But Congress is responsible for that. You know that. Congress has to pass some type of new law reform when it comes to health, immigration, all that stuff.
Sure. And he had a Republican Congress for the first 2 years, but he doubled the deficit during that period of time. So, he should have been leading on that issue, and he wasn't.
A lot of people come and watch this and say, why are you qualified to be the next president of the United States?
That's a fair question. And I'd say the answer is, hey, I've been running my own office for the last 27 years. I've been an effective attorney. You look back at our history, 5 of the first 6 presidents of the United States were attorneys. 26 of 44 have been attorneys. So we historically have had a lot of attorneys as president. So I think it's a good training ground for
Forgive me
president.
for saying this, but it almost seems like you woke up one day and you said, you know what, I'm just going to run for president. Did you not do some polling? Did you not try to figure out some numbers, fundraising numbers to figure out how can I really make a difference and put a dent in Trump's following? His support is massive in the Republican Party.
Well, that is something that we did look into, and I had a number of consultants work with me before I, launched the campaign, and people around me felt that this was something that we could do, and I think that, as a public service, to give voice to people who are essentially voiceless in the Republican Party, because he is shutting down debate, and he shut down 6 or 7 different primaries for the presidency, so people aren't being even allowed to vote.
Do you think President Trump should be impeached? Now, I know he's going to be impeached in the House, but do you think the Senate Republicans should impeach him?
I think that if I was in the Senate, I would want to hear from John Bolton. He said this is a drug deal, referring to the deal that was going down with Giuliani and trying to pressure President Zelensky of the Ukraine. I'd want to hear him under oath to get up there and testify as to what he meant by that.
So you're backing Chuck Schumer?
I think that as a juror, I want to hear the evidence. As somebody who's a trial attorney, I want to hear the evidence before I'm going to vote. So
do you think he should be impeached? From what you've heard, do you think he should be impeached?
I think as far as an impeachment is essentially an indictment. And from what I've heard to date, he did abuse his power by using his power of the presidency to get a favor from President Zelensky. He should not be saying, hey, you do something for me to investigate Joe Biden for corruption.
Because if President Trump is impeached by Senate Republicans, everybody has said, no, that's just not going to happen. It's going to be a 2-day, 3-day thing, and boom, it's gone. But if he is impeached, that makes your road a lot easier, doesn't it?
It certainly would. Though, I think we need to look at the reality here in terms of that it's probably unlikely that he would be impeached. But I think that it's important for the American people to get the evidence in front of them so that they can make a decision as to what President Trump did and why it was wrong.
If you're in front of President Trump and his administration right now, what is the thing that you're telling them that says, hey, I'm going to take you on. I'm the guy that's going to give you the biggest problem in a primary, anywhere in the country?
What I'm telling, what my message is, hey, let's have tax fairness. We should eliminate the income tax for the first $100,000 of income for families.
How do you do that without killing Social Security?
We can do that by closing the loopholes for the top, essentially 1%, the people who are earning over $1 million. So it should just be a flat tax of 37%. That's the current rate already. But unfortunately, because of all the loopholes, they're not paying anything close to that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, President Trump did suggest that, but obviously shot down.
I don't think, he really didn't do that. I mean, he said, I want to get a tax cut that's for people who are not wealthy. But he endorsed and supported a tax cut that gave a huge portion of it to ultra-wealthy people like his friends.
I want to get to our voters here in the Central Valley. They're watching this and they're saying two big issues here, ag and water. For the most part, farmers do back President Trump here, especially now after the USMCA deal is going through. Still waiting for Canada and Mexico to really officially sign on the dotted line there. But the water wars have been top billing here in the state. How can you assure farmers here in the Central Valley that you will have the water they need to continue to be the biggest production of ag across the world west of the Mississippi?
No doubt. I mean, the farmers in California are highly productive. I believe that they produce 25% of the nation's food, and it's a $50 billion industry. So we obviously have to get them the water in order for them to produce the food that we eat. Mm-hmm. So that's a big issue. But one of the things that President Trump is absent on and just is climate change, which is part of this water problem.
That's a Democratic response right there, climate change.
Well, actually, if you look back in the history, Republicans were leaders on the environmental issue going back from President Lincoln to Teddy Roosevelt to Nixon, who started the EPA, and clean water and clean air were developed and signed by him. Also, George H.W. Bush signed into law extensions of clean air. So we had a strong bipartisan support for environmental policies, and it's been only in recent years, and particularly under President Trump, the attack on the environment. That's new for the Republican Party, and I think it's a real loser for the long term because young people care about the environment, and President Trump is essentially turning his back on young people.
So you say he's turning his back. So as that impeachment goes through, I want to get back to this one thing. If you were a Senate Republican, would you vote to impeach President Trump?
Again, I would say I want to hear from Rudy Giuliani. I want to hear from John Bolton. Okay. I want to hear from Mick Mulvaney as to what they did.
One big thing, immigration. It's been one of the Trump administration's staple here. He wants to build the wall. He's continuing to do that, taking funds from the Pentagon in order to do that. That was approved by the Supreme Court. Do you not agree with that?
I don't think we need a wall. I mean, you look at what has happened on the border. More than half of our immigrants that are here without papers came in through planes, and overstayed their visas. So a wall isn't going to help with that problem. So we need more border enforcement, no doubt, and we need to make sure that people's first steps into the country are legal ones. That's important.
Final question. How are you funding your campaign? And then if you could talk into that camera right over there and say, how are you going to win? How are you going to beat President Trump?
Well, I'm funding my campaign. I have personal money, but I'm also getting a lot of donors. I'm getting a lot of support from around the country, and I expect that that's going to increase over time. And how I'm going to beat President Trump is by appealing to people's basic interests, which are, cutting taxes for the middle class, having good health care, and working on the environment, and cutting the divisive rhetoric and really working to unite the country versus dividing the country.
All right. Matt Mattern, presidential candidate for the Republican Party.